Hello, poker players of the world! This is Sky with SmartPokerStudy.com, and I'm here today with a PokerTracker 4 tutorial centered on the PFR statistic. In this video, I'll go over how to assess your own PFR percentage to gauge whether you're as aggressive as you should be, and how to research your database to find spots where you should be opening or raising a little bit more often. As a quick refresher, PFR is an acronym for Preflop Raise, and it's calculated as the number of time a player raised pre-flop, and this is any raise, by the way, whether it's an initial raise, a 3-bet, 4-bet, 5-bet, whatever it is, and that's divided by the number of hands played minus the number of walks. And of course, a walk is when you're in the big blind, everyone folds to you, and you take down the pot without any problems whatsoever. Some optimal ranges that PokerTracker 4 gives you through Leak Tracker for the PFR statistic are right here. Now, I often play short-handed 6-max games, so at low stakes. So my PFR should be somewhere between 12.7 to 20%. So take a look at this chart. Watch the Leak Tracker training videos for yourself on PFR and every other stat to kind of get a gauge of where your own stats should be, of course. So let's take a look at my own database and see what we can find out about PFR. I am a cash game player right now, so I'm doing that. I often start on the statistics tab when I'm doing some research into my database. I choose a summary report. Right now we have it on table session, which is fine. We can also look at it by position, but I want to just review a table at a time. And I have August 3rd selected because this is the most recent date that I have over 1,000 hands within that one day. And I always like to do that 1,000 hand days to research. 1,000 is actually my goal every day that I do play a session. I want to hit 1,000 hands. If I make that, I count that as a success, whether I won any money or not. And you can see I won about one buy-in, 100 BBs on this date. So on August 3rd, overall, my PFR is only 10%. Well, as we saw before, my PFR actually needs to be 12.7 to 20% in that range. So I'm quite a bit low. So one of my goals right now is increasing my PFR percentage. So we'll go back to PokerTracker. And let's see, which table here had the lowest 10, 9, ugly, 7% PFR on this table. So let's take a look at it. We have 88 hands played on the table. I don't want to go through all 88 hands, so let's do a filter here. Under hand details, when you're trying to look up do some PFR filtering, player is hero. Actions and opportunities. Now, you want to go to the preflop area, of course. Preflop opportunities, you want to see spots where you had the opportunity to open, and you had the opportunity to raise the limpers. I could throw in just any re-raise opportunity, but I'm not really concerned right now with 3 bets in this video, and 3 bets and beyond. I just want to know when I can open the pot or raise over some limpers. And now we want to see where we had the opportunity, but we folded. So you want to click that any fold under preflop fold. Add those to filter. So player's hero, folded preflop, and we had the opportunity to open or opportunity to raise some limpers. And if you haven't saved this filter, it's a really good one to help you improve your PFR. Save it as a quick filter. I've already done so. Probably pull that up later. But just hit save and apply to filters. Now this table, we were at 7% PFR, which was terrible. But now that we've gotten these hands filtered a bit, we have 49 hands instead of the 88 we started with. 49 hands where we had the opportunity to raise over some limpers or open the pot. Now, I already have it sorted by hole card, so let's go by that here. Let's review some of these hands. Ace, Jack. Now, these are all hands, of course, where I folded, pre-flop action folded, and maybe I should be opening a lot of these hands. So let's see. Ace, Jack, let's review. Ace 8, unopened pot in MP, let's review that one. The cutoff, Ace 7, yeah. Button, Ace 4, let's definitely review that one. MP, Ace 3 out, that's kind of an ugly hand. King Jack, though, offsuit connector. Let's see why we did not raise that. King 8, King 4, no good queens. Jack, some Jack 8. So Jack 8 in early position, no, but let's review Jack 8 in middle position. Seems like that would be a good one. Let's see here. Jack 4 now. 10, 10, 4, 10, 9, 8. Nice. 5, 4 on the button. Let's review that one because that could be an open, depending on the players we have on the blind. So let's take a look. 4s in early position, no. So that was the best pair that I folded. early position fours, which of course I normally fold fives down through deuces, and sometimes sixes in early position depending on the table, but I'll always open sevens or better, and never come in for a limp for an open at least. So I think that's good. What do we mark? 1, 2, 3, 7 hands to look at. So right click, replay hands. So we've got all the hands here. Whenever I do a session review, or reviewing some tables, I like to look at what hands I botched, what mistakes I made. So let's see if ace jack here is a mistake. Of course I folded. Everyone else folded around me to the button. So ace jack suited, if my goal is to increase my PFR, ace jack suited is a must, even in a 9-handed game. I think it is an early position. I mean, I think I would go so far as any suited Broadway ace, so ace 10 or better. If my goal is to increase my PFR, this is one of the hands with which to do it. Now, it would be better off in middle position or in late position, but at these low stakes, I think this is a hand worth opening right here. So let's make a note. What are here? Ace jack suited, UTG, didn't open. Bummer. Caught our first mistake. Now, all the hands are reviewing. Some may be mistakes, some maybe not, but, this one definitely was a mistake. Ace 8 off in middle position. Let's take a look at the players remaining. We don't know anything about him. We got a full stack here. Tag player, tight aggressive. Kind of getting loose, but very passive on the button here. 12-9 tag, 25-10. Loose, getting loose and pretty passive as well. And this is a 3-bet percentage, this red number here. So 0, 2, 1, 4. Don't know about this guy. So there's not that good of a chance that I'll get 3-bet, but I have 3 players to act after me, and I'm not a big fan of ace 8 off. Ace 8 suited, I would probably open here. Ace 10 off, I think I would open. But ace 8 off, I don't think that's a mistake folding this one. And that guy came in with 3.5 BB raise, so he probably had a pretty decent hand there. So maybe it's a good thing I didn't raise. I could have been easily dominated with ace king, pocket tens or better, whatever the case may be. Let's go to the next hand, ace 7. Now, in the cutoff, I've got a super passive player, folds a lot. This is the fold to c-bet, folds a lot to c-bets, folds a lot to c-bets. This is definitely an open. I could take advantage of some post-flop passiveness on these guys' parts, along with some a tag player who would maybe most likely fold to an open in the small blind here, and this guy who's passive who will just call and maybe give it up on a lot of flops and turns. So I would say ace 7 off, cut off, didn't open. That is also a mistake. Now ace 4, three-way, ace 4 is an easy open right there. Even though I'm playing pretty tight at this table, I think it's best, even with these guys, they don't 3-bet that often, and it's an ace 3-way. I need to be opening stuff like that. And it doesn't matter whether it was a 3-way hand or not. Ace 4 off on the button against just about any 2 blinds you've got to be opening, especially if your goal is to increase your PFR percentage. Next hand is a king jack off. Let's see here. King jack off in MP 9-9. A lot of those same players still to act. Short stack, another semi-short stack. Not a lot of 3-betting. I think this is a toss-up, whether to open or not. King jack suited, without a doubt, it's got to be an open. But here, I can't consider this a mistake. Especially if I'm playing a lot of other tables at the same time, which I often play 6 to 9 tables. Folding this isn't a mistake because it allows me to concentrate on better hands on better tables. So I'm good. I'm good with ditching that. And it ended up getting to the blinds. And 9-6-6, which he doesn't fold often to c-bets, but he folds a lot. Yeah, I'm fine with ditching that. I don't think that is a necessary open there. With a jack 8 suited, now I'm in the cutoff with a short stack. If I open, you can easily shove. Do I want to put 6 BBs in? Which wouldn't be bad. I mean, open. It's effectively isolating this guy. If he chooses to play, he's going to shove, getting these guys to most likely fold, unless they have a good hand, and I get heads up, short stack, with a hand that can flop decently well. So I'm good with I'm good with raising there. But is it a necessary raise in order to increase my PFR? I think Jack 9 suited, Jack 10 without a doubt, and Jack 9 and Jack 8 suited are questionable. So I would not call this one a mistake. It's openable, and I could do it. But once again, not opening this frees up my mind, my mental space to deal with other tables and hands on those tables, which in situations that could be more profitable. I mean, I could be playing this Jack 8 for only a 6 BB pot. If I open, he shoves, these guys fold. I'm just playing a 6 or 12 BB pot with my money in. But just playing for someone else's 6 BBs, it's not all that worth it. So I'm going to have to say that's not necessarily a must play. Now this one limp and folded to me. Now this guy is a super passive guy. Very passive again, and loose but pretty darn passive. He just calls with half of his range, plays 35% overall. So I would have to say that if I want to increase, and this is the kind of hand that can totally bust a full stack and a full stack here if I flop really well. I think I don't think it's a mistake, but I think I should have opened here. Oh my gosh. I would have flopped a pair plus flush draw. That would have been lovely. And with nobody betting, I could have followed up with a C-bet here. Not a C-bet. Well, it would have been a C-bet if I had raised. So I could have followed up with a C-bet, fold, fold. Most likely gotten folds from them. And if anybody had called, at least I have equity. Darn it. And I would have turned a flush and turned a straight flush draw as well. Yeah, so, I mean, results-oriented, it's a definite mistake, but it's also, it's a toss-up pre. So I can stand to see opening it. I'm not going to consider that a botched hand. It's not a must-open, the 5-4 suited. Let's see, what else do we got here? Was that the last hand that we were going to review? 5-4 suited, yeah. So out of those 7 hands, it looks like we made 3 mistakes, which is kind of a bummer. So we could have increased our PFR by opening up or raising these 3 different hands here. Yep, I would have to say, what a shame. All right, so let's go ahead and close this and get back to PokerTracker here. That's sorting it by hole cards. Let's look at the same table by position. Now, looking at it by position, button and cutoff, you could see those hands on the button. None of them, maybe ace-4, which we already covered, and the 5-4. You could look at it by position to see what hands you should have played if you didn't want to look at it by hole cards. But we've already covered all of the hands there. Now, what if we, instead of looking at it by table, let's look at this by position. So we look at the same day, August 3rd, with the same filters going on. Now, by position, these are all the hands that we had the opportunity to raise over a limper, or we had the opportunity to come into the pot with a raise. So let's look at the button to start with here. And on the button, sort it by hole cards. Let's see what hole cards on the button we really could have. An open pot, ace-8, which we've already covered. Here's an ace-8 suited that we can take a look at. Let's see, ace-deuce suited with 1 limper. We did not talk about that hand yet. Let's scroll on down here. King 5, queens. Queen 5 now. Jack, those are too big of gaps. Jack 4, no thank you. 10-9 off. That could have been an open, but it's an offsuit. I'm fine with just ditching that, kind of without even thinking, 86, 9 deuce, 8-4. 8 deuce is no good. 7-3. Oh, what's this? 7-5 on the button. Let's take a look at that hand. 5-4. We already covered that 5-4. 5 deuce is no good. 4-3 deuces, deuce 3. Okay, let's take a look at these 3 hands. First off is our ace-8 suited. 30. Now we did raise, which is good. I'm glad to see that. But then we faced a 3-bet from the SB by this guy who only 3-bets 4% of the time. So that's not so good. So we got to fold to that hand there. So I would say that that's not a mistake, but opening there's a good spot to open, and we got to fold to that 3-bet. We could play in position, but with this guy only opening 3-betting 4% of the time, it's a decent fold. We could have called just to see a flop, but at the same time, we're probably dominated there. Now the ace deuce suited over a limp. Now this guy, 62 hands, limps 66% of the time. Man, that's definitely a raise. We should have there. Even looking at these two players, we're not going to be facing a 3-bet. We could have isolated this guy in position. Any of these guys we have position on. So let's definitely consider this one a mistake. Ace deuce suited. Didn't raise over... Oh. Instead of saying didn't raise over a limper, no raise over a limper. Ace deuce suited right there. That's one of the acronyms that I use in my notes. And the last hand here is a 7-5 suited, folded around to us. This guy 3-bets 8% of the time, which is pretty good, and 3-bets only 2% of the time. Let's see what his 3-bet is here. In the SB, 6%. If we raise here, we are most likely not facing a re-raise, but who knows? And 7-5 it's a toss-up. I'm not going to consider that a botched hand. So folding there is okay. He ended up limping, so results-wise, I mean, a raise there could have been good. But, nah, no big deal. So that's on the button. So you can see how doing your various filtering here by position and everything. Let's take a look at some of these EP hands by whole cards. Now, in the EP, I only normally raise the top of my range. So let's look at some of the King 9 suited. It's a nice hand. It's a pretty hand, but it's not the top of my range. King 6. Queen Jack, no. Queen 10, no. Early position. Now, if I want to increase my PFR, I could be opening a ton of these kinds of hands, but I'm just not a real big fan of them, especially the offsuits. And I like Broadway big cards or nice pairs in early position. Keep my game simple. Oh, there's a 6-6 right there. We can review that hand. And all the rest, I mean, 5s and below. My cutoff is normally 6s in early position. I can often stand to raise that. It's an unopened pot. Oh, interesting. Let's take a look at it. Oh, I'm not a fan of that. But you can see we got two guys posting blinds here. I think I just gave a limp in order to see a cheap flop, I think is what happened. Eek. And this guy who does not raise too often, he's a tag player, decides to come in with a 6 BB open, or a raise. Now, let's see what happens. So it folds around to me. Cost me 5 BBs to win an 11 BB pot, which gives me roughly 33%. I need 33% equity, which I think 6s probably has 33% equity. Let's get Flopzilla here. Let's say this guy raises with a tighter range. Let's say it's a 15% range. And actually, let's put these in 2. All the way, not deuces, 3s, and 4s. Probably limp with those 5s. Well, he might have 6s and decide to raise there. So we have 45% equity versus this kind of raising range, which it could just be a steal. So let's give him some extra aces here. And a 10-9 suited. Let's give him these. Let's look at his overall stats again. He is a 13-8. Okay, so let's not make him too loose. Let's take those back. Let's give him that right there. So over this 19.2% range, it's actually 18.3, but if we take away some of his 6s, it's 19.2%. We have 47% equity. So without a doubt, we have the equity necessary. All we needed was 31%. We have the equity necessary, so we should have called just to set mine. We have a good size stack. We have him covered. He has 80 BBs behind, which is plenty of implied odds. So yeah, we could have called this one. So I would have to say, darn it, we encountered another mistake. The first mistake was open limping. Next was open limp folding with odds. What a shame there. So that's how I would go through my hands, and I would continue, of course, with looking at this by each position, and then, like we started with the table session, look at each table individually and see what hands I'm folding when I should have been raising. So that's one way to do it. Now, let's say we had the opposite problem. Let's say we were a player who PFR'd way too much. Let's say we just, we loved playing over-aggressive, but we needed to bring it back a bit. Let's say maybe our PFR was something around the range of like 25%, for example, and we need to cut back 5 or 10% or so. So let's take a look at this again. We deleted that filter. Let's do a different filter this time. Hand details, player is hero, actions and opportunities, preflop once again, preflop opportunities. So we have the opportunity to open, have the opportunity to raise over a limper, but this time we actually, preflop raises, we actually made any raise, whether it's a 2, 3, 4. Actually, no, let's just look at the 2-bet right here. That's all that we want to see. 3-bet and 4-bet would be something for a different filter for a different day. So you want to add these to filter. Player's hero. We raised any 2-bet raise, and we had the first opportunity to act, or we had the opportunity to raise over some limpers. Now you would save this, of course, but let's just save and apply the filters. So we have it broken down by table here, or yeah, by table session here, and all the different hands that we had the opportunity. Let's take a look at this one. We had 14 hands, and where's our PFR? 100%. Oh, let's clear the filter. Which one? If we wanted to cut back, this one had the highest right here. So we want to take a look at this table. And I already have PFR'd saved as a quick filter, so it's the one that we just went through. Same hands here. So on this table right here, 14 hands to look at, and here they are all down here. Let's sort it by whole cards here. Now, we want to look at hands where if we want to cut back our PFR, so of course it's aces, ace, queen, in these positions we're going to raise. Ace 10 off. That's definitely one that we can do some reviewing. Ace 5 off on the button. Ace 3 off in the small blind. Let's review that hand. Ace 5 in the button's not bad, depending on who you got in the blinds with you, you know. And let's see, we did a King 8 suited. And the worst hand is a 10-9 suited that we opened, and I'm fine with opening those. If you wanted to ditch those from your opening ranges, go ahead and just go down to Jack 10 suited. But I'm good with those for my own self. And the 9s, of course, you got to open. So we got 3 hands to review here. Replay these hands. Now, was opening an ace 10 a mistake? Well, this guy just limped. We're heads up. I don't know anything about the guy, so come in with the raise first hand and see what happens. He calls ace 10 on a 5 king. I just do a c-bet and he folds. So it was a good play. I think that was a good hand. If I was, PFRing too much, then maybe I would ditch that. But I think overall that was a good position to be in to open that hand. Now the ace 3 gets folded to us. We have a super nitty player here who folds a decent amount. It's only been 2 out of 3 total, 2 out of 3 lifetime. But he folds to a decent amount of c-bet, so we could possibly take it down on the flop a little bit easier against such a passive guy. Often translate to passivity post. So we give it an open. Oh, and he folds. Great, good little steal. Now, that is the kind of hand that you can ditch if you are raising too much. But if you're raising hands like ace 3 and you're raising too much, you're probably raising a lot of suited jacks and suited queens that you can ditch before the aces in general. Now, a king 8 here folds to us. King 8 suited. Now, wow, this guy's super active. Only 16 hands. No 3-bets yet. And he's had 5 opportunities with no 3-bets. So I don't think we're going to face a 3-bet from this guy. But this guy's super passive and likes to call a few streets. We are in position on him, so if we flop good, we can take a decent size of 59 BB stack. This guy here is kind of a loose, getting aggressive. Loose and aggressive player. A little bit passive, and he's open a little bit more. Doesn't 3-bet that often, so I'm fine for myself opening here. But if I was PFRing too much, I would ditch this hand. So for me, it's not a mistake, but it could be for somebody who PFRs too much. King 8, yuck, what a yucky flop. Now, he doesn't like to fold to c-bets. He doesn't either. And on this board, we have a couple of backdoor draws, backdoor straights, and backdoor flush draw. I'm fine with not c-betting here. Let's see what I do. Although a c-bet isn't too bad either, because there's a lot of turns that you can barrel on. You can barrel on any club, a 7 or a 9 or a queen or a king. So there's actually... Can you barrel on a 5? No, you can't barrel on a 5, really. But yeah, but there's a lot of cards that give you additional equity in this hand that you can barrel on. Let's see what I do. I check. He c-bets full pot. My guess is I fold here. I can't see myself sticking around without much equity. I would just fold and give it up. give it to this guy that's willing. I mean, you see that bet right there. After I called B240 in the pot, he has a 1.5 times pot stack to pot ratio, so forget it. I got to fold. Good, and I folded there. Great. So that's what to do. To cut back on PFR is look at hands this way. Look at the hands that you played, that you came in for a raise, and view which was the worst hands and see if that was a sensible raise or not. Well, I think that that just about covers it for this video. To sum everything up for our PFR analysis, you want to see how your PFR compares to the optimal ranges presented here, and here are the ranges once again the same as before. You need to run the necessary filters to see what hands you could put into your open and raising ranges, or see what hands you should drop from your opening and raising ranges if you're PFRing too much. And these are the filters that we already did. This is just recapping it here for you. In case you want it, to go over it yourself if you didn't get it from the video. So we will cover 3 bets in a later video. This is just PFRing, of course. And please check out my PokerTracker 4 training video playlist by clicking on the link that pops up here to get further PokerTracker 4 training. And please check back regularly, as I'm planning on posting tons of extra videos here covering various stats. If you enjoy this video and learned something from it, please like it below and subscribe to my channel. The more likes I get, the more videos I'll do on the same or related subject matter. And of course, I truly appreciate everybody out there spending some of your poker studying time with me, and I hope this video helps you improve your game. Until next time, study hard and make your next session the best one yet.